Most people move through time like a line, one direction, one moment after another, but near death experiencers describe something else. Not a line, not a structure, layers, loops, moments stacked on top of each other like thin sheets of glass. And sometimes, for reasons that no one understands, those two layers shift. Two moments touch, two lives brush shoulders, two versions of reality lean close enough to breathe the same air. Tonight, we explore the experiencers who didn't just glimpse the future, they stepped into someone else's present. I'm Candy, and this is Half Haunted Chronicles. Overlap experiences are rare, but every researcher who studies near death survivors has heard at least one. Memories that don't belong to the experiencer, motions with no personal source, moments that unfold exactly as remembered, but in someone else's life. Not prophecy, not imagination, displacement. Experiencers describe overlap as being two people at once, borrowing someone else's day, living a moment out of order, remembering a life that isn't mine. Tonight, we follow those stories of those who slip sideways into timelines not entirely their own. Time doesn't always stay in its lane. Sometimes it brushes against itself. And when it does, lives touch in ways they were never meant to. These are the moments when timelines overlap. The woman who remembered a stranger's wedding. Shelby was a nurse, practical, grounded. Her near-death experience came after a rare reaction to anesthesia. She survived, life resumed. Weeks later, she woke with a memory, a beach wedding, warm wind, a white dress pulled sideways by the breeze, a man crying as he tried to slide a ring onto shaking fingers. He felt lived, not imagined, but it wasn't hers. A year later, on vacation, Shelby passed a small ceremony on the sand. The same dress, the same wind. Her body froze before her mind caught up. After the ceremony, the bride approached her and asked, "Do I know you? I feel like I've seen you before." Shelby realized then some moments don't belong to one life alone. The man who remembered a fire before it happened. Jonas delivered packages for a living, routes, addresses, ordinary days. His NDE came after a motorcycle crash. Months later, flashes began. Not dreams, not visions. A blue house, a white porch, a child calling for help. The panic felt borrowed. On a new delivery route, Jonas passed the house. Every detail matched. A week later, the fire started. Jonas was already there. He pulled the child out before the flames reached her room. EMS said he arrived early, impossibly early. Jonas said, "I didn't predict the fire. I remembered being a part of it." The teen who lived someone else's life in dreams. Adeline nearly died from meningitis at 13. She recovered physically. Afterward, she sometimes woke feeling she had lived an entire day as someone else. A woman in her 40s, a specific job, a soft brown dog, a chipped favorite mug. These weren't fantasies, they were memories. One morning, Adeline spoke aloud in a voice not her own. "Please believe I'm trying." Months later, she met a woman at a community art event. Same face, same dog. The woman broke down and whispered, "I've been dreaming of you too." The man who carried a stranger's grief. Thomas survived a factory accident that briefly stopped his heart. He returned quiet, changed. Soon after, waves of grief began hitting him. Sharp, specific grief, not his. In a grocery store aisle, Thomas felt it again and saw a man crying over white lilies. Without knowing why, Thomas touched his shoulder. The man said, "My daughter died this morning." Thomas understood then some pain arrives early because it has somewhere to be. The mother who saw the wrong child's future. Grace had an NDE during childbirth. She lived. Her son thrived. Years later, flashes begin. A bike path, a cracked sidewalk, a red backpack, blood on a left knee. She warned her son gently. He stayed home. That afternoon, a neighbor boy, same age, same backpack, fell in the exact same spot. Broken leg, same injury. Grace said, "I saw my son's future until I recognized it, and the timelines chose someone else." This episode unsettles people because it threatens something we depend on. The idea that we are separate, separate lives, separate timelines, separate stories. Near-death experiencers come back with fractures in that belief. They don't just witness other moments, they participate in them. They carry emotions that aren't theirs. remember days they never lived, step into lives running besides their own. Maybe the NDE doesn't expand consciousness, maybe it removes the walls we used to define ourselves. Maybe time isn't something we move through alone. Maybe we are overlapping constantly and only notice when someone briefly steps outside the body and comes back changed. Overlap isn't a mistake, it's a glimpse of how close we already are. Tonight, we explored what happens when near death experiencers slip sideways into timelines not entirely their own. But next episode, we go further shared visions, synchronized dreams, two people remembering the same future at the same time. Until then, stay curious and always, always stay haunted.